So if you want the right candidates for all your roles, ZipRecruiter is the place to go. Try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/news. That's ZipRecruiter.com/news. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than the Carolina. And if you want a little bang in your yin, come along.
Are you open to pursuing impeachment of President Trump, or are you ruling that out?
Well, we've made clear we haven't ruled anything in, and we haven't ruled anything out.
I am not a socialist. I guess you can say that I'm more of a social democrat, so to speak.
You think that's okay? I mean, do you really want to have this conversation? Are you circumcised? Yeah. Circumcision's different than castration.
Hannity's on. And so is the countdown. T-minus 16.
Hey, holy skunks.
Election day.
And I'm putting it on Govea right now. I'm switching. I'm not listening to Hannity.
More behind-the-scenes information on breaking news and more bold, inspired solutions for America. Stay right here for our final news roundup and information overload in the final hour of the Sean Hannity Show.
All right, news roundup, information overload hour. Our toll-free number is 800-941-SEAN if you want to be a part of this program. We touched on this briefly with
against that list. Very upsetting to them because they don't want any accountability in the elections. A free-for-all is how they win. So then back in August, this court granted the injunction and issued a nationwide injunction. Even though she's just in Massachusetts, she said, I am ruling America now. I'm the president now. And said you can't actually move forward with any of these rules. So then on Friday last week, and we were here to enjoy it, she then flipped out because the Postal Service, nonetheless, she writes, issued a final rule. And it went online. We looked at it. And it was pretty watered down. It was pretty benign. All online so that the public can inspect it. Then on Monday afternoon, boom, a glorious day indeed. August 24th, the Supreme Court granted the emergency application in Indira's other case in California, saying that the states don't even have any harm to complain about. They sued before anything was even on the books. At the time of the filing, there was no final rule. There was no actual change that could impact them in any way, shape, or form. And by the way, the Supreme Court also articulated that these are just internal executive rules. It's Trump, Homeland, executive branch agencies that are all making decisions to tighten up the election mechanics. So then after that came down, what we saw is in the instant case, boom, Trump versus California got shipped over here and said, now, since we won there, we have to win here. So Indira comes out. She says, when a party seeks to have an injunction dissolved, as we do now, there are certain rules here. You have to demonstrate that there was an actual intervening change in the law. Of course, the Supreme Court will fit that bill. Pretty big intervening change when SCOTUS says what you were doing was illegal. So in granting the government's emergency motion in California, the Supreme Court said the following, that there were two related doctrines of justiciability, which is this idea that you have to reach a certain threshold in order to even bring a claim before you even fight about the merits of the lawsuit in the finality. Both of these were standing and rightness. Now, standing requires an actual injury. Article 3 injuries must be particularized, and each plaintiff needs to show that. Now, about Section 3, SCOTUS said that the plaintiff states, this is about the League of Women Voters, but in the California case, it was about the states, saying that a pocketbook injury, in other words, feds change something and now you have to spend money, was too speculative to confer standing.
Yeah, I had to take care of a bunch of paperwork first.
The rule was actually hypothetical at the time the lawsuit was filed. It's no longer hypothetical, it's now out. The organizations, though, in the League of Women Voters say that they don't share the same fiscal harms incurred because, like the states, for example, have to go buy new ballots. The League of Women Voters sovereign injuries to the rights of the states to conduct their elections. Instead, the plaintiffs, the League of Women, they say it's going to be an ongoing injury to them due to, this is literally their argument, confusion and chaos, because they help write guides and manuals, and they have a website. This is how you vote. This is how to register to vote. And they're going to have to change everything now, and all of the dumb League of Women won't be able to figure it out. So they say that is going to be unconstitutional, and it's all happening right before the 2026 midterms. Now, as to rightness, SCOTUS also said it has to be right. You can't have inference stacked upon inference, where there's a bunch of contingent future events that may not even happen or occur at all that make up the basis of your claim. And she goes and kind of throws some shade at them. She says, throughout the remainder of the opinion, though, the Supreme Court made no further mention of prudential rightness and framed its concerns about contingent future events, saying like they forgot something. So despite this framing, these two cases are very similar. In California, the state sued. In this case, the court dismissed without prejudice their APA claims, finding that there was no final rule. But in both cases, the court considered the possibility that maybe there was no executive order. It could be illegal. It could be feasible.
Not really. I mean, it was all PDF stuff. Just basically my invoices for my company credit card. I got to tell them which site to bill the purchases to. So yeah, in accounting, it's digital paperwork.
Were right as to the midterms, and so therefore she could issue an injunction. She did that. She entered a judgment in favor of the states and was helping the League of Women, and saying the Supreme Court said, I was wrong, I erred. This court was only, quote, from SCOTUS, slapping her down, speculating that the U.S. Postal Service would, from SCOTUS, propose a rule, weigh the comments, issue a final rule, and then admonish her that federal courts review final rules, not proposed rules, and certainly not antecedent internal directives to propose a rule, which was the whole basis of their claim. They can't even have a meeting about it. They can't even send an email about it. If you even think about
Rumble would be good.
Rule, you're injuncted. Because they realize that every step forward this goes, the more damning it is for them.
I need Rumble to know that they need me there.
I think that the Trump DOJ is going to make new arguments that this case can't even be brought here. They are upset about a Postal Service rule. Maybe there's a better forum for them to actually sue, and this court really should divest itself.
Go through the car wash.
We'll see if we come back on that. But she writes, the court finds it likely
ramp closed. Oh, fuck, I forgot about this ramp.
Same reasoning here. And just as I
I'll
got
just go the other way.
Case, I would get blown out here. So despite acknowledging that the disposition of the emergency application does not mean that any measure taken by the government, right, SCOTUS said, this could be illegal, there could be harms, but right now, what these courts did is they said there is no judicial review on the merits right now. And she says, instead, without any consideration about whether the goals are lawful or even possibly lawful, then SCOTUS concluded that appellate review would come too late for 2026 and said that your errors, lower level Judge Talwani, means your injunction needs to go. So the league says, well, there is a final rule, and now it's on the internet. But even this promulgation is not good enough. She says, regardless of what chaos may be unleashed, they're the ones creating the chaos. They're the ones who are suing to block the president when they shouldn't even be in court. Okay, she should have not accepted their lawsuit at the outset. We wouldn't have even had to go all the way up to the Supreme Court and back down. But their argument, their goal, is to stall it out and to block the development of anything, just like they did with TPS. Okay, oh, you're blocked. Oh, there's a stay.
Oh, it's open?
There's an administrative stay. So
this ramp's open. Good.
Ended and people removed immediately, ends up being this thing that just drags on and on and on.
I'm gonna run through the car wash first.
The Supreme Court is now saying that ripeness must be measured when the suit is filed, not when it suddenly becomes convenient for them. And so in sum, the court finds that in light of the Supreme Court decision in the California case, these organizations are not likely to win as to ripeness without amending their complaint now that the final rule has been issued. And so accordingly, Talwani grants Trump's motion to reconsider and vacates its prior preliminary injunction. Woo! That was hard for her to write. She dropped that one today, August 26, 2026, from inDOCtriNATIONlive, the Obama judge. And as this all happened, The docket just got overflowed. So the leftists just go wild. And you can see same day, even moments after she ultimately issues her order, right here, you can see on the docket we have 204. She says, you guys are going to lose. It's going to be game over for you. And so injunction canceled. Then immediately after, boom, look who's back. Delta Sigma Theta, League of Women, more leagues of women, Massachusetts and others, education funds, the Asian Pacific Advocates, U.S. Vote Foundation. They have so many groups. What did they do? They filed a supplemental complaint. They said, oh, we need a new complaint. Happy to do that. Then they also submitted an emergency motion for another TRO, same day, like minutes after the order came down, and a memo. And then they submitted a declaration from all of these people, like they're ready to go. So they got Selena, Doris, Thu, Wynn, Celia Canavan, somebody called Dorcas, which is a perfect name for them, and Susan and others all saying, we're going to die if you will let this go into effect. So please stop this immediately. Then we've got a new set of deadlines that dropped, and you can see this thing is.
Here, let me order it for you then, bud.
Canceled other conferences.
I got Prime, so it's free shipping.
New deadlines that we'll come back to.
Text me that the model on it.
Gave us a pretty clear roadmap on this, and they
I order them all the time.
This is internal. This is executive function. But here's their argument, just briefly. You can see that they're now suing and amending the complaint to add in a bunch of people. And we want a TRO saying that nobody in the Postal Service can actually do anything. They all should be blocked. We want the court to enter a new TRO and stop the Postal Service from moving forward with this and grant this immediately and order a briefing schedule as soon as possible. And she did. She even went faster than what they were requesting. So we're getting ready for her.
I assume your address hasn't changed, so I think I have that.
Her constituents, the Democratic Party. But she scheduled, they asked for another briefing at least by Wednesday, September 9th. And wait till you see the dates that she gave us. And so their arguments are largely the same. Once again, this is the League of Women Voters. It's really pathetic that one group or a batch of these types of plaintiffs that are literally created so that they can file election litigation. What you'll notice is they submitted another request, right? So this was their amended highlights, but they talk about the irreparable harm down here, and it's a lot of the regurgitated stuff that they've been saying over and over again. And they walk us through a lot of this: Postal Service independence, Postal Service final rule, and they said Congress ultimately is in charge of the Postal Service. As we know, the Postal Service delegated all of that over to the executive branch, large portions of it. And now their argument mirrors a lot of the other things that you see here from the Supreme Court, where they're saying the Postal Service is independent branch that no care or control over them at all. So they walk us through this. The final rule has now been issued.
Let me see what I got. Yeah, I got it. Yeah, that's the address I have.
When they bring up irreparable harm, they unleash a bunch of these affidavits, these declarations, which is still going to work. The only difference is it's going to have a barcode on there. Come on. And why? Because they might have physical disabilities, okay? Nothing other than the fact that it's gonna have a barcode. That's it. It's going to say on the outside of the envelope, oh, this is a piece of election mail. Mobility impairments, limited English proficiency. Maybe they shouldn't be voting in the election anyways. Residency in rural areas, service as poll workers, and even college students who are too dumb to figure this out. So they all submitted these declarations and say that members also face imminent risk of disenfranchisement if the mail-in ballots don't meet the rules. And they're harmed if they don't get the ballots, which is a denial of their right to vote. And the final rule now compounds this, and all of the midterms are 70 days away. And it's like, well, you guys were litigating this illegally from the very beginning. If you wouldn't have done that, then we could have gotten a lot of this sorted out. But the irreparable harm, ultimately, is that it's going to, once again, just to be clear, we cannot have election integrity, according to their party, because it sows confusion and chaos. That's the reason. There's going to be increased voter confusion, which is not confusing at all. And second, it's also going to make their website obsolete. Literally saying the rule will render obsolete voter education in their guides and their manuals and on their blog. Right now, the rule has effectively made their core work impossible. They were educating millions of voters about mail voting and helping them vote by mail, and now they don't know what to do. Much of their voter education materials on mail voting are now incomplete or futile because they're obsolete, which is the point. Just go update your literature. So these harms are irreparable. And this is so crazy because just think about it. Anytime the government changes something, somebody somewhere is going to have to update their website, have to update their blog, update their guide. And third, the final rule also requires that they have to overhaul their voter education materials. And they do this in all 50 states. And it's going to be expensive. And they have to reprint all these materials mere weeks before the mail voting deadlines. And they have to translate it. And so this is going to be very difficult for them.
That's cool.
And so we can't allow them to do
That's
that.
cool. I mean, with a lump sum, I mean, that really shouldn't affect you.
Yeah. I don't think that these are going to... I think Indira will accept all these, but again, SCOTUS was already in their argument saying that is really not sufficient to override the entire executive branch. Some group somewhere can just complain about something, and then nobody can do anything. The entire government is calcified and blocked. So they say the undisputed factual record supports ample harm. Our voters are dumb, and they have to go get a new guide. There's no time now for them to update anything. And they had previously, the Trump people, they argue, had previously barely contested this, which they will now, because they knew they were going to win on the rightness and standing issue. So all of the balance of the equities means we should get a new injunction. And it's thin, man. It's weak. It's all just largely about fears of disenfranchisement, which are again speculative. Why would somebody be disenfranchised if they're on the list and they get a ballot? They can't really explain that unless they're illegally on the ballot or actually prohibited from being on the list because they should not be on the list. So they want an injunction. Right now, there's 70 days, and now they don't have time to devote significant resources to updating their literature. And so we ask that you block all of this out. Please do it immediately. We'll see what she does. Now, the judge is accelerating this. So remember, at the outset, in their original request, they were asking for September 9th dates. The judge issued this new briefing deadline with a new schedule, and she's making this all happen very quickly because they know right now the rules can go into effect, and they're running through it. I'm sure at the Postal Service and in the DOJ and elsewhere, they are racing to start implementing. Like, hopefully they're working 24 hours a day in order to get it done. But she wants to accelerate everything. So here's what she said. The court joins these two cases briefing, and I'm going to determine what needs to happen with a new injunction. And so here's the following schedule.
Nice fucking
by
signal up
tomorrow,
till the last second, asshole.
We want opposition from Trump. by tomorrow at noon. Crazy. They get like 12 hours. It's almost like a due process violation. It's like there's no time at all. She just dropped this afternoon. This is fresh out of the oven. I want a reply by tomorrow at noon. Then I want the red states, and by the way, the red states want this to happen, intervener defendants, also tomorrow at noon. Then I'm going to give the separate or combined pending motions for the preliminary injunction, deadlines on August 29th at the end of the week, and then another opposition on August 29th, and then the leftist groups, the League of Women Voters, they'll have to respond by August 31st. So they were asking for at least September 9th. She says we'll get it done by the end of August because they have to accelerate this. And we also want some oral arguments. We're going to have a hearing on the motion. That is going to be held on September 3rd, 9 o'clock, courtroom 9. And even other people, so California, they just filed a new lawsuit suing the Postal Service, saying if they have not filed a notice of appearance here, I want to consolidate a lot of this stuff here so that we can, get this all fleshed out in one fell swoop. So she's setting it up to rig it again. These states and the organizations, their main argument is that it's going to cause people to have to change some things, and so therefore nobody anywhere in the country gets any election integrity at all. Once again, by Indira Telwani. So the meltdown occurred today. We saw just AG after AG saying we're going to sue. From Nevada, we got 25 states suing over this new rule, and they say it interferes with our ability to administer mail voting, and it's going to disenfranchise voters, which is weird because seemingly you're only going to be disenfranchising people who shouldn't be voting in the first place. So what's the problem? The states, all they need to do, if the actual citizenship list component is implemented, is submit their list to the Postal Service. And I think in the rule, even the Postal Service says, we're going to collect the ballots. All we're doing, even if you don't use the list, it's not mandatory. We're still going to collect the ballot. We're just going to mark it with a barcode. But other states, presumably the red states, could actually use the citizenship list, validate them. So no one's getting disenfranchised. It's just about tracking the ballots so that we can have a proper chain of custody for, one of the most important and sacred things that Americans do in the process of self-governance. So Nevada came out. Of course, Big Tish couldn't sit on her Tish for 2 minutes. She said, I'm also suing. This allows the U.S. Postal Service to intercept and reject lawful ballots. It doesn't, actually. If it is a lawful ballot and this person is a citizen, they'll accept it. They've already said that. Threatening millions of Americans' rights to vote, which kind of is concerning because were millions of people illegally voting? So the midterms are now less than 3 months away. This will create confusion and an unacceptable risk to voters. Got it. Norm Eisen, one of the worst out there, he said the same thing. We're filing a new lawsuit. Now we have a final rule.
They gave each other gifted.
Back to my point that they're free. And Rob Bonta, California, also doing the same thing. This is an unlawful overreach. We're asking the court system to ensure every person, we don't want every person to have their voice heard. You understand that? We want lawful American citizens to have their voice heard. Everyone else, don't give a crap about. They can go vote in their home countries. That's the point. So then we got Bill Esseley, who's responding to Rob Bonta. He said, what is your problem? Bonta came out. He said, join me at 9:30 for an update on California's efforts to fight back against unlawful federal overreach, which the Supreme Court just said is lawful at this time. He says, this is Trump's attorney out there in California, says, what election integrity? You're fighting to preserve non-citizens' access to mail ballots, and you want to lecture us about integrity? I've never seen a state AG fight this hard to shield fraudsters and illegals from accountability. Imagine if this guy used his efforts to actually protect citizens. It would be shocking, wouldn't it? So he's out. And then we see they brought out Mark Elias.
Yeah, I might run into some rain on the way back.
He's suing on behalf of everybody.
Or even on the way there.
This with you so you can see what a catastrophe this is for them. It gives away the whole game. They have a vested interest in ensuring the system doesn't change. The mail balloting is everything. We saw what they did back during COVID. It was essentially the shift in time, the point in history where universal mail-in balloting became the norm, became the default. They created harvesting rules with ballot drop
Yeah, I'll probably
boxes.
get them on the way
They
back.
waived and lowered signature standards and requirements.
While I'm there,
They made
I'm gonna grab a
it like
steak when I get into
everybody
town.
by
So
default gets registered and then gets a ballot. And so there's hundreds of thousands of presumably extra ballots floating around the country at election time. And then when you want to go check their lists, it's another meltdown. You can't do that. So if this all now comes to a crashing close, it might be game over for them, which is why you're seeing this one after another. We have to fix this right now. Here's a little bit of Mark Elias. We won't singe our brain cells for too long, but here's what he was saying last night.
But I am told by our producers that your firm just filed suit against the U.S. Postal Service. Are we getting that correct? And what can you tell us?
Yeah, so you got it exactly right. The Supreme Court said that all of these lawsuits that were filed, the one that made it to the Supreme Court first involved the state AGs, that essentially they were premature, that the Postal Service had not yet taken the steps necessary to make a lawsuit timely. Well, this afternoon, on behalf of the Democratic National Committee, Democratic Senate Campaign Committee, Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, Democratic Governors Association, Senator Schumer and Leader Jeffries, we filed just that lawsuit and are seeking an immediate injunction to bar this now final rule from the U.S. Postal Service from being implemented.
Talk to me about the timeline. Why are we doing this 70 days out from an election?
Because Donald Trump is trying to make it harder for people to vote and easier for Republicans to choose.
Oh.
And he is doing that through a variety of means. He is doing it by lying about the election.
Okay, so Trump having an opinion about the election is a lie, and the Republicans wanting to make sure that there is one ballot for one person so that we know, okay, this ballot is picked up, it's got a barcode, we scan it, it goes to Robert Gouveia, I fill it out, they pick it back up, they scan it, oh, it's coming from Robert Gouveia. We all can validate that it was one person, one ballot. If all of a sudden you start to see half a dozen ballots go to somebody's residence, maybe that rings a bell for you and raises a red flag.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Or if you have,
it's pretty obvious.
Counties that get,
and they don't even care that it's obvious.
More than there are actual.
They really just want to.
More voter registration.
This is not disenfranchise any legal voter at all.
Living there, that might be a big problem. And so now the Postal Service can validate all of that. They don't want it, and now they're going to blame election lies. They're going to blame Republicans for cheating, which is as rich as it gets.
For the midterms?
All it is a simple chain of custody follow. We don't want illegal aliens on there. The leftists have already admitted that illegal aliens are on the voter lists. We know that because Mickey Sherrill confirmed it for us, and they vote. We confirmed that when Dana Nessel charged a bunch of people. We know that in other places like Massachusetts, you can register to vote in someone else's name and then literally vote in their name, as we saw with the guy from China who set up his roommate. So all of it is absolutely real. It's not a lie. It's not a conspiracy theorist, but they're very, very panicked, as you can tell. And even Anderson Cooper asked a fun question of Senator Chris Murphy. He did not know how to answer it. RNC Research grabbed this one. And over to Chris Murphy, the senator, said, what's the problem of creating a list of eligible voters? Isn't that just kind of standard? Like, wouldn't you want to do that in general?
Of course they are.
He says the following.
In your view, what is the harm in the Department of Homeland Security creating a list of eligible voters?
No harm.
Well, ultimately, Trump doesn't want people to vote, and he's going to be very selective about who he doesn't want to vote. He doesn't want...
Yeah, that is right. We don't want non-citizens to vote. We don't want dead people to vote. We don't want people to vote twice, 3, 4 times. We don't want vouching going on in Minnesota. We don't want convicted felons to vote. We don't want people who moved out of state to vote. So, yeah, there needs to be some selectivity. There is this paradigm where, on the one hand, you have mass voter enfranchisement, which is ridiculous.
Do they allow you to vote in person there? Or does it have to be mail-in?
So that only American citizens can exercise that very sacred right. On the other hand, voter integrity, they argue, is voter disenfranchisement. So here's more of this dude.
People who are more likely to vote for Democrats to vote.
Like illegals.
So, he's going to instruct either the Department of Homeland Security or the Postal Service, potentially, to remove people from the voter rolls, or to profile people for removal from the voter rolls that are more likely to vote for Democrats. For instance, people who live in cities.
Like illegal aliens.
I mean, I don't think there's any secret about it. Trump is going to use whatever power he has available to him to make himself rich. He's going to use whatever power he has available to him to try to steal the election.
Wow, so they're election deniers now. So, of course, it is the big cities, many of which are sanctuary cities, who have illegal aliens emerging out of their pores, brought them there for this very reason, many of whom actually have registered, according to Mickey Sherrill out of New Jersey. And now Trump just doesn't want people to vote. There is some truth to that. We don't want the illegitimate people to vote if they're illegitimate. So they're nervous about it. And I have not seen a lot of Republican support on this, to be perfectly honest with you. We had the Mark Elias clip. We had Senator Murphy's clip. But there's not a lot of Republicans out there who are pounding the table saying this is a tremendous victory. There should be. We should have a video post from every stinking senator out there saying thank you for getting this done, because this is something that we want as well. But they're not doing that. They're all on vacation. And so it's pretty quiet out there on the right, because really, it's only the American people who want this to be implemented. The right, if they wanted it at the Senate and congressional level, they wanted to get it done, we would have already had the SAVE Act passed. We're in control of both houses, and they're just refusing to do it. So right now, we've got basically one agency, one president who's driving this ball forward. It's President Trump. We've got obstructionist judges. We got a good ruling from the Supreme Court. But it would be very useful if we could get Congress to come out here and assist in this effort, which they're currently not doing. So they're nervous.
Well, I mean, I guess in some areas they require mail-in now, like in I think Washington.
Leads, but lawsuits are flying off the shelves.
Or Oregon, one of the two. I think one of those two states, it's all mail-in.
If they're mad at this, and this change is catastrophic, it's an earthquake that would destroy their power. The reason why they're so mad is because this is how they organize and win their power in perpetuity. But we got a nice victory. It's going to be a battle. We're going to keep our eye on this one. But fortunately, right now, there's nothing blocking these orders from the president. And so we'll wait to see what the DOJ says in response to this onslaught. People throw their temper tantrum, can't even have a ballot track in the mail. It's ridiculous because they're scammers. They know they're scammers, which is why they're so upset. So we're going to keep our eye on this one, see what the DOJ
The guy's carrying a bunch of gas cylinders in front of me.
As we do. All right, we got another big election win. And this one's coming out of Maryland with Wes Moore.
Flammable gas, non-flammable gas, inhalation hazard, poison.
Just lost this one. He was trying to ram through a new map and to rig their elections against the right, and a judge just slapped them down. The victory is handed to us courtesy of the Oversight Project and the Maryland
Freedom
Caucus,
by the district,
celebrating the new order that you can see here on the screen, calling it a massive win.
Actually, your district is
to have pursued this fight along with the Freedom Caucus.
I know there's not a lot of them in Illinois, but your district is pretty red, isn't it?
Transparency and due process and the integrity of Maryland elections. And it was a good one, because what we see here is that the judge was saying that what the Democratic Party was doing was misleading.
At least maybe down where Mitty is.
Rules that they didn't even follow, just like they tried to do with the CIA Governor Spanberger out there in Virginia. So the order came down. We'll come back to that. But the explanation here comes from the Oversight Project. Mike Howell and Jeffrey Clark, both of whom are on the show.
He's your representative.
Really delivering victories.
Right.
Awesome to see it. They say today, we're happy to declare.
I guess Peoria would be
pretty. They're trying to make an unlawful amendment to the state constitution, but the court found that the Maryland General Assembly broke the law. They were blowing by deadlines that were already established. And this amendment was misleading and legally
my county's blue, but where I live,
the court enjoined the board from
my state congressional district is very red.
Because of course they're going to appeal it to the Maryland Supreme Court.
There's a good chance that
a notice of appeal. So this court's decision is an important step towards
Marcy Kaptur finally be dethroned.
And complete information about these amendments And now the project is
the
proud
restructuring
to
of the
victory,
district,
but not only did
congressional
Maryland
district.
Democrats blatantly ignore deadlines for these amendments to try to line up a redistricting effort
those
to take
tie
away the
downs
sole
vibrating?
Republican congressional seat through last-minute changes, we didn't let them win. And now we've been fighting with the Maryland Freedom Caucus and the Senate, and the fight isn't over, but we're celebrating our victory today. So we got some good statements from both of those gentlemen. Here's what the judge's decision in Sedell County, saying from the judge in a short decision, this matter came before the court back on August 25th. We had oral arguments about it, and the judge heard it. There were motions for summary judgment. We had a bunch of people there, Jeff Clark and others, who were arguing the matter. Now, on May 12th, what happened in Maryland?
Yeah, he is, but
there was a Senate bill. It was an
he said a couple of dumb things last Christmas that might be hurting him, even with Republicans. So we'll see. But the alternative is that Amy Acton, who was part of the current governor's COVID team, even though she's very blue, but she told a lot of straight up lies. So the ads are bombarding her with that.
A goal or an outcome of the question, a condensed statement describing the change in the policy.
We'll see. I mean, Ohio as a whole is pretty red, but there's a chance of them taking back one of their Democratic Senate seats too. Houston versus Sherrod Brown. Sherrod Brown got beat out last election, his other seat, by Marino. But now he's going against Houston, the former lieutenant governor that took over J.D. Vance's spot when he took office.
Also, all of it gets submitted to the Secretary of State. Needs to be on and
he's a career politician, though.
A 15-day period, so they can understand what the change will be. Then the state boards also need to make it
hopefully
accessible for at least 90 days before
Houston can hold that seat.
The ballot measure goes on the ballot. And the complete text
Vance won it pretty handily
that will actually
before he ran for vice president.
Needs to be out, and they also have to link back to the webpage. So then, the election law, as readopted, also requires that local boards provide notice of any statewide ballot question on the proposed amendment to the voters of their counties, and it also needs to contain a brief statement. So all that gets done. Then on July 17th, what happened?
Well, he's a billionaire, so
Westmore issued a proclamation. He said, we're going to reconvene the state legislature, the General Assembly. We're going to call a special extraordinary session. It's going to begin on August 3rd.
Is he term limited as far as governor there?
Is pass legislation to amend the state constitution to clarify.
Yeah, I think they may. I mean, they're probably going to run separately, but they'll probably join up.
Do not apply to Maryland's congressional districts.
Depending on which one gets the.
What they're doing is stripping out the federal races. So, in other words, all of what
what's the primaries?
Applies to state races.
I'd like that ticket together, just Vance Rubio.
Clarify it, and then we can do whatever we want if we don't have to follow that timeline and those rules. So then House Bill HB 2100 was introduced.
I honestly didn't like Rubio that much when he was running against Trump.
August 3rd, new bill gets introduced, and that is more on August 3rd than a month after the July 1st deadline that they already.
Now I see how good he is at what he does.
Certification deadline had
I wouldn't mind him being in office.
They're Democrat cheaters, so they raced forward with it. Section 1.
It'll probably be Vance, although Vance
under the special session
is divisive.
Would allow
in some ways as well, but
modify the Maryland Constitution to confine
MAGA still exists at that point.
U.S. people population districting requirements to legislative districts, so only state districts.
Yeah, little Marco.
And another provision.
Little hands, Marco.
The Supreme Court of Maryland to review congressional districts. So state.
Actually, that's when I really started thinking Trump would have a chance when he came out in those debates.
New maps at the congressional level. And
like a tiger.
Say that there's additional criteria for congressional boundaries, right? They want to redistrict away the only Republican seat because they're mad at Texas. So then HB 2100 passed with both houses, the Senate and the House. Then by August 14th, the Board of Elections website displayed the ballot question on the internet. The public got to look at it. Here's what it said. All right, voters of Maryland. The proposed amendment clarifies that certain standards in the Maryland Constitution only apply to the state. Otherwise, the Supreme Court can draw the federal map. What a bunch of scammers. And if you want it, you can vote for it or you can vote against it. Kind of a technical thing, we're going to bifurcate the authorities to draw the maps, one at the state level, one at the federal level. So then, boom, oversight, and the Freedom Caucus sue. On August 6th, they bring the suit to block the ballot measure from going on the ballot, saying that they failed to even follow the timing rules that they passed before.
Yes, he is.
The judge says, all right, summary judgment is a matter where
it's like it already rained here.
I can't properly dispose of certain things. The moving burden, the party here bears the burden of proof. In this case, it's the people suing. And
so much for washing the car before I left.
Is there any other remedy? Is there an omission? Is something unlawful?
I got a monthly package there, though, so.
And could this change the outcome of the election? So the judge continues. He says, in the United States, a state constitution or the U.S. Constitution, they limit and define the powers of the government generally, and the powers of departments specifically. They also generally define the inviolable rights of citizens against the government. And so as such, this judge says, there is a presumption that the laws that are enacted by a constitutionally established department comport with the Constitution that creates the legislature, and it allows the legislature to pass new laws. And so that's power operating. Now in Maryland law, their Constitution declares that all persons invested with the powers of the government, articulating general principles, everyone's bound by this, including the General Assembly, and they pass laws to get this done. All of that also applies to votes. Now here,
oh yeah, I mean that's why they participated in stealing the election back in 2020.
Are pursuant to that they passed pursuant to their constitutional authority, don't actually apply to it because they say the legislature wrote the ballot question rather than delegating that to the secretary. So we can't actually do this because we wrote it, not the secretary. If the secretary writes it, they have to follow the rules, but we don't. Also, the state says that Maryland and the Constitution imposes no period of exclusion when the legislature proposes this. Now, while the court is persuaded that the Constitution does not impose a period of exclusion...
That's coming down here. I'm running into it, I think, from behind.
The calendar will... The court also finds that the legislature has passed laws to codify the ordinary process and procedure for all of this, and that the procedure provides ordinary due process to the people. When the people are asked to weigh in on something, right? They're trying to ram this through, but they're forgetting...
That car wash puts graphene on the paint as well, though, so it's like protected. You can see everything beaten up on the windshield and stuff.
Now, because the legislature did not follow the very laws that it enacted, the court finds that this enactment is legally deficient. Many places in the Venezuela their reading of the Constitution is correct.
They are, but they still don't trust them either. That's like Rain Act.
The court finds the ballot question itself also to be deficient. Here's what it says. The proposed amendment, quote, clarifies, meaning it's essentially perverting the original meaning. The original code says this thing, the original actually says this. We're not actually changing it.
Damn.
The Constitution applies only to districts used for the state, but instead coming to the Supreme Court and they can change everything. Judge says this is ridiculous, man. The court finds that the use of the word clarifies is misleading from those scumbags. The argument advanced by the state is that the prior court's decision means they were allowed to do this. But he says, no, it doesn't. There's nothing in the record to suggest that is ever a common understanding. The ruling of the court there was that the same rules apply to legislative and congressional districts, and you can't just clarify that the entire law changes dramatically. So you can pass this out to the state, to the Supreme Court. The status quo in Maryland is that the legislative redistricting requirements in the Constitution applies to both the state and the feds. And so as such, the word clarified is intentionally misleading. Another way to say that is you're liars. your scanners, and this alone should disqualify the ballot question as it's currently written, because the law is very clear. You can't just clarify that I don't like how that reads, and so we're just going to change it a little bit. Now, additionally, the question is also defective because not only does it ostensibly intend to clarify, he puts in quotes, the application of compactness requirements, but it also seeks to confer original jurisdiction over federal redistricting to the Supreme Court. Constitution requires that a referred question just be one single issue only. You can't lump in a bunch of these issues because you're mad at Texas for redistricting. Now, while this court concludes it would be ideal, actually, he's like, I actually think it's a good idea, for the Supreme Court to have original jurisdiction in those cases, it's a separate issue from compactness for both state or federal districts. And so the court finds that the process that this lower state Congress used to propose ballot question 3 was deficient. They rushed to pass the measure in a hastily called special session. The presumptions and the wording of the question itself are also deficient. So the court has no choice but to block the Board of Elections from including ballot question 3 on the general election ballot this election cycle. To preserve the state's ability to take this up to the Supreme Court, we'll issue a stay of the injunction pending your appeal.
He just messaged me about his firm stuff.
You're not allowed to put it on the ballot. So saying, I'll allow you to continue to work forward on this, but you're going to lose. You have an immediate opportunity to appeal. We'll see what the Supreme Court in Maryland does with this. All signed by Robert J. Thompson, the judge for the Circuit Court of Anne Arundel County. And again, man, these people just cheat everywhere we look. It's Jocelyn Benson in Michigan saying delete the records. It's Abigail Spanberger trying to redistrict her entire state, probably at the behest of the CIA, before she got slapped down by the Virginia Supreme Court. And again in Maryland, they didn't learn from their neighbor in Spanberger, and they just decided that we're going to try to rig it our way anyways. And they just lost. Great victory from the Oversight Project, and they were feeling pretty good about this yesterday. We can see that they were out and about, and here's what one exchange sounded like after they walked out of the courtroom yesterday after oral arguments on this case.
Hey, Delegate Matt Morgan here. We just walked out of the courthouse. We just wrapped up court today. We told everybody we'd be here. It's about 3 weeks after the special session. We will hit the General Assembly, push a constitutional
I'm hoping that I get
to get rid of all federal
code
Republican representation. So we said we were going to sue. We just wrapped up the court all day today. I do want to give a shout out.
Yeah, I don't mind advertising his code and tell them.
Project, our legal team did a phenomenal
Actually, I need
job.
to set up. That reminds me, I need to set up a.
The judge said he wasn't going to make a ruling from the bench.
We'll actually issue
a ruling
so people
tomorrow.
can order their.
Long story short, we're going to the Supreme Court of Maryland. We should have a case probably in the next 9 days.
So today was a great day. We're cautiously optimistic. Look, the law matters. Legislators who make the law cannot break the law. And so we're feeling good about the way this was carried out. And we are here fighting for you, fighting for the voters of Maryland.
Yeah, so we heard today, I'm Delegate Ryan Araki, from the Attorney General, who's arguing the case for the state, that the rules don't apply. The rules don't apply to the Attorney General's office, they don't apply to the governor, they don't apply to the legislature. That is fundamentally wrong. The rules apply to all of us the same. All of our constituents' due process rights were violated in this process.
They don't care.
My constituents, Delegate Schlegas, Delegate Morgan, Delegate Chisholm, all of them were violated in this process, and that's why we're here to fight for you.
And Delegate Brian Chisholm, I just want to break this down to a 5th grade level. Like I said in the hearing, that's where my mom said our people in school should start there.
They're cheaters.
It really did. This is very basic. A trampling of more Maryland voters due process again.
They did an
excellent job in there today at exposing that and basically saying, look, you can't write law and then 3 days later say, well, we don't care about that law anymore. And because we put this amendment in that says, notwithstanding, that's
fucking idiot.
To supersede all laws. We're very optimistic. We're very, very hopeful that the Supreme Court's going to see it the same way that we believe we're going to see it tomorrow. And we're excited to move forward with this and continue to try to promote the well-being of the voters in Maryland.
Stay tuned. Maryland Freedom Caucus is fighting for you.
Let's go. And they won. It was a good one indeed. And this is the same pattern. They try to bypass the people. They say, oh, we care about your voting rights. We don't want to disenfranchise any voters. You didn't even follow your own timeline in your own state law. It's like a free-for-all for them. As long as they can secure power, they'll do whatever it possibly takes in order to accomplish that. So they celebrated. You know Jeff Clark, he was in the Trump administration until they tried to put him in jail and strip his law license. He said after powering through an expedited...
Did you want just like a plain black one, or do you want one with a kickstand on it?
It is very rewarding to see that the judge here agreed with the catalog of legal errors that we laid out by the General Assembly and Governor Moore. They had a hurry-up special session. Now, Powell, the president of oversight, said, this is a big win not only for Marylanders, but fans of justice across the country. We had the facts and the law on our side, and we won, and that won't change if the state appeals. So this will continue on, but it was a good day and a nice decision, and Wes Moore blown out. Nice try. You guys are cheaters. Follow the law. Stop disenfranchising your own constituency, your own citizens, because you have to race things through because you're so mad at Republicans and the Supreme Court for Louisiana versus Calais. So another redistricting win. The presumption is that Republican seat will continue on at least through this cycle. We'll see what the Supreme Court says on this.
Yeah, like with a little kickstand on it or not.
Friends in Maryland. And this is a lesson for all of us everywhere. It's the same party. These people in Maryland also exist in your state, and they're doing the same things, utilizing the same tactics, and that's why we have to call it out so that people know what's actually happening. If it's in Maryland, it's happening in your backyard, and so we need to remain vigilant about all these scummy attempts to steal the government away from us. Big victory here. We'll keep our eye on this one. And we've got one more update, my friends, and it'll be a good one. This one involves this representative that we've talked about here before. Body slam representative LaMonica McIver has been charged with multiple crimes. She said that they don't actually have the ability to prosecute her because of her immunity as a congresswoman. Turns out that's not right, and she just lost a big one. She took it up to the Court of Appeals, and they slapped her down from the Third Circuit, saying that it's actually not something that applies to you, and you can be prosecuted for these matters, and so we're going to send you back down for trial, and better luck next time. But if we forgot who this woman is, we remember that some time ago, we got this video clip courtesy of Brianna Morello. She shared a trip down memory lane for us when LaMonica was out there outside of the facility demanding that she be allowed in, and it wasn't just a polite request. She was throwing her weight around, bumping and moving, and pushing and shoving, committing assaults on multiple federal agents. Here's what that looked like. Okay, it's just warming up here. I think there may have been a swear jar in there. Okay, here's part two. Here comes LaMonica. Bursting in. Whoa! Look at that belly bumping that guy. Not good. Breaks her way through the outer perimeter and through the gates. Wow. Trying to body slam that dude. Here it is in super slow-mo from a different angle. Look at her. Shoving, elbowing, bumping. Right here. Oh, look at that thing. You can break somebody's femur with that thing. Oh. Wow. Wow. Look at that. You saw that. that little push right there, that little right hook. You saw that one right there? Right there. Oh, LaMonica. You can't strike federal agents. You're a congresswoman. Behave yourself. Act like an adult with some reserve. Gosh. Just going wild out there on behalf of the illegal aliens, because that is really what gets them excited if it's not election interference. But now she said, I have immunity. I can show up there and hit anybody I want with my gigantic belly. I can throw right hooks at them, and I can try to body slam them as I invade a federal area. Not a request to go and conduct oversight, okay? That's all nonsense. She's trying to insurrect the scene, and now she's been charged with crimes. So she said, I'm allowed to do that. I'm a congresswoman. Don't you know who I am? I'm a congresswoman. You can't touch me and all these things. You've heard that. Now, the Third Circuit has said, actually, you're not immune. Here's the order that got dropped, saying LaMonica now faces criminal charges for her conduct that occurred during her oversight visit to Delaney Hall, an immigration facility. She moved to dismiss all of this on grounds that the speech and debate clause immunize her, and the separation of powers means she can't be prosecuted, and that the government is selectively and vindictively prosecuting her, violating her constitutional rights. The lower level court denied her motions to throw this out, and then she appealed to us. And guess what? We will affirm as to counts 1 and 2, and we're going to remand as to count 3. So she kind of wins that one, but not entirely. We're going to remand for further consideration, and then we'll dismiss everything else because we don't have jurisdiction over it. Saying 2 of those charges, so 3 charges, 1 we're not sure about, send it back down to the lower judge, they'll look at it. But as to the first 2, no. Actually, those are valid. Why? Because those charges involved nothing that required her to answer any legislative acts, even if she is throwing that belly around. So the background here, back on May 9th, she is a actual congresswoman in the House of Representatives from New Jersey, and they got a lot of illegal aliens on their voter rolls, many of whom are voting, which is why she's so upset about this. She's like, those are my constituents in there. They're voting for me. I need to save them. So on May 9th, she and 2 other representatives conducted an unannounced congressional oversight inspection. Didn't even ask for permission to be there. All you got to do is call LaMonica. Just pick up the phone. They'll invite you in. But you didn't do that. You showed up. You said, hi, I'm here to invade. And under the authority of ICE, they're housing these illegals. So upon arrival then, McIver and the other representative entered through a security gate and into the secured area. They proceeded inside Delaney Hall. They waited over an hour in the facility's administrative office. Now, during that time, the Newark mayor, called Baraka, and his security detail also arrived, and they went inside. Meanwhile, dozens of protesters and also media members waited outside the security gate because they love this group of people more than they care about actual Americans. So then Homeland and the special agent in charge, now referred to as Victim 1, incredible, approached the mayor inside the security gate and said, Mayor, you
I
are
don't care
not
about the
allowed
price,
on
man.
the premises. You have to leave.
Whatever color you want.
You're a local mayor. Get out. And if you don't comply,
it's cheap
we're
no matter
going to
what.
arrest you. So then at that time, Congresswoman Belly McIver and 2 other reps left the office. So they're there waiting, showed up unannounced. Nobody's on your schedule. You could have let them know you were coming. So then he gets into it. So they actually leave and bring themselves to the scene. The mayor was speaking with Victim 1, the man heinously attacked by LaMonica's stomach. Victim 1 directed the mayor and his security detail outside of the security gate. You have to get out of here now, or you're in trouble. And
So no worries, brother.
LaMonica.
Gotta protect that. That's that new phone, right? You gotta protect it.
Administrative office. So then moments later, Victim 1 informed
I know how often I drop mine.
agents that the AG had authorized the mayor's arrest. They said, this dude's not leaving. What should we do? Let's lock him up. The agents exited the secure premises and approached the mayor and his security detail. So upon observing this, then the Congress ladies also proceeded into the unsecured area. Then an unidentified member of the crowd yelled, "Circle the mayor! They're gonna arrest him! Don't let him do it!" And some protesters, as well as MacIver and 2 other reps, also encircled the mayor as Victim 1 and other agents pushed their way through the crowd to go arrest the mayor. They were obstructing his arrest, obviously. So video surveillance that we just watched shows Congresswoman MacIver placing herself between the mayor and Victim 1. The indictment also says that MacIver then slammed her forearm into the body of Victim 1 in a violent manner and, quote, reached out and tried to restrain Victim 1 by forcibly grabbing him. We saw right hooks, we saw floppy bellies, and more. So then Victim 1 handcuffed the mayor, said, "You're under arrest there, bucko," led him toward the security gate through a dense group of protesters. Then in the meantime, MacIver didn't get the hint, and one of the other reps also moved toward Delaney Hall to re-enter the secured area. Now, the indictment then describes MacIver as, quote, pushing past an ICE deportation officer, another victim of her heinous abuse, while using each of her forearms to physically, forcibly strike him. Congresswoman MacIver was then able to re-enter the secured area, not allowed to be there, and she and 2 other representatives then entered the facility and finally conducted their oversight inspection. Like, after all of that, like, fine, come in. So then the government charged her in a federal indictment with 3 counts of violating 18 U.S. Code, Section 111A. Each count incorporated the first 12 prefatory paragraphs of the indictment and said that she just abused all these dudes. She forcibly assaulted, resisted, impeded, intimidated, and interfered with a federal official. They were all engaged in their official performance of their duties. And the actus reus, which is the act, right? You've got a mens rea, a guilty mind, and the actus reus, which is the guilty act. All in count 1 is, as it relates to Victim 1, she slammed her forearm into that dude and then forcibly grabbed him. As to count 2, she pushed past Victim 2 while using each of her forearms to forcibly strike Victim 2 as she returned inside to the secure area. And count 3, the reason why that one's likely going back down, is they say there wasn't a separate act, an actus reus, committed by her against a specific victim. Instead, what that count was is it relied on a prefatory paragraph and charged her with forcibly assaulting and interfering with the agents and the performance of their official duties. So not a specific person attacked, and you'll notice, man, there's no allegations of an abusive belly flopping around.
Of course she did.
Almost hit her with attempted murder with that one, though. At oral argument, the government stated that all of the charged conduct in count 3 was kind of an all-encompassing charge. Essentially, all of her efforts impeded everybody, even though it wasn't specifically connected to a particular victim. So then she moved to dismiss the indictment. She said, "This violates my rights. I have a speech and debate protection, and there's a separation of powers problem." The district court said, no, you don't. They said down below that the charged conduct was ambiguously legislative. So it's not actually legislative, it's ambiguously legislative. We have to analyze the content, purpose, and motive of these acts to determine what your predominant purpose was here and whether the engaging conduct was actually legislative or not. And it then said it wasn't. It concluded that the speech and debate clause did not cover her, and you don't get legislative immunity here to protect yourself from prosecution. Now, she also made a separation of powers argument. The district court, again, said that she relied on the Trump versus United States case, which is hilarious. That was the case where Trump got presidential immunity. She says, well, you can't prosecute me. I have immunity, just like the president does. They said, no. These are separate matters, and so we declined to dismiss that based on the separation of powers argument as well. And then lastly, she says, I'm being discriminated against. They said, no, you're not. It's not vindictive. It's not discriminatory. Nobody has a personal animus against you. Nor did she show that there was any vindictiveness at all. And so you lose across the board. And so, of course, she appealed. So now we're in the Court of Appeals, and they say that we have jurisdiction to also review the targeting, but we disagree. There's no basis for review on that matter at this stage. So they walk us through some of the prior case law and the rules that they'll use to do the analysis here. And she tries to distinguish these cases. She says that you can hear this case. They say, actually, we don't. We don't have jurisdiction right now for targeting. And also, if we do have power over the First Amendment harm has little impact on our analysis. This isn't free speech. You can't say that your physical assaults are the equivalent of free speech, and so you're going to lose on that one. And it doesn't explicitly confer a right not
Looks
to
like
be
it'll
tried.
be there tomorrow.
Nor does she cite any law providing a right not to be tried based on the First Amendment. Nice try. Now, second, we have recognized that the chilling effect of government action on protected speech can be an irreparable harm, but that's not what this is right now.
Oh yeah, he's very good. Apparently he was a pretty good defense attorney too. He just makes a lot more money, believe it or not, doing this. I mean, he's got, on all the different platforms, he's got quite a few viewers. I mean, at least over
now, while she does
a few hundred on Rumble. He gets a bunch of them on YouTube as well.
Concerns.
Right now he's got 886 watching on Rumble.
The Constitution or the law provides it, and we can't do that now. Now, similarly, there is no basis to review the targeting claim. Talking about intertwined orders, and so this whole section was really about jurisdiction. We're not talking about that issue right now. It's just about these other matters. First one being speech and debate clause. As we know, speech and debate clause says someone who is in Congress, essentially, for any speech or debate in either house shall not be questioned in any other place, saying that there's some immunity for these people. Central role of this is to make sure that people aren't getting arrested while they're actually in Congress. But it has to be for a legislative act. And in that analysis, we have to ask ourselves, what is the nature of that legislative act? Does a big floppy belly count? And the answer is no. The speech and debate clause does not provide blanket protection over all things that are even remotely related to the legislative process. For acts that are clearly legislative, we don't even need to ask about it. But if it is not clearly legislative, it's ambiguous, then we do. Now, count one in their analysis says that she was charged with impeding through physical contact victim number one as that victim was trying to arrest the mayor. So was that legislative? It was related to her inspection of the hall, but the lower court said that her intervention into the mayor's arrest has nothing to do with the legislative function at all. She may have been there to go inspect the facility, which may arguably be a part of her oversight function in Congress, but interfering with the arrest of a mayor, she has no oversight authority over that. So she actually stepped out of any argument that she could have made in order to obstruct what the agents were doing. The district court also said that we support this conclusion because the charged conduct took place during a brief time frame before the oversight inspection began, not on the facility's premises.
Yeah, I'm sure he didn't spend much time in there, but yeah.
We agree. Lower court
That's
was right.
becoming a big thing. They're arresting people for doing all types of protests. They're saying you need to have a permit to do it there, which is bullshit.
It is the nature of the act, and in this
He
case,
did it because other people have been arrested for it.
Now, the nature of
He
the
knew he was
conduct
going to get
charged in
arrested.
count one is non-legislative. Her physical conduct and contact with victim one is not integral to the deliberative process that takes place in the house. And this would hold whether she was inside the facility or outside the facility, because it's not legislative. She says it was legislative because we need to consider it as a whole. Like the whole reason she was there, she expands the scope of the
It's also punching the air by my face in between take
argument. And this happened while I was part of an oversight field trip. Now, in contrast, count one says that she was not charged for conduct relating to the visit, only between her and victim one. She next says that dismissal is warranted because the government would need to prove that it was not a legislative act, and she was there for oversight, but that argument is unavailing, saying she interfered with the arrest. Nothing there was actually necessary for Congress. And moreover, she may file motions in limine, like once this goes to
yeah, I
trial,
know he is.
she may try to exclude
I'm trying to pull it up
evidence
now
or suppress
to play it
statements
after
or
this.
whatever.
I don't think
But that
Govea's going to
doesn't
be on for much
justify
longer.
a
It's a
dismissal.
short night for him.
In addition,
He just had a new baby, so
she says she'll be forced to discuss her motives, and she'll have to explain herself. And so that means that in her defense, it will implicate the speech and debate clause. We're not even going to address that here because we've already concluded that it is unambiguously non-legislative.
Oh yeah,
And so if she
4
wants to
hours
offer
ago.
evidence about why
He only
she did
lasted
these
9
things,
minutes. The
it's not
stream
gonna
only lasted
implicate
9 minutes.
her motive in taking legislative action because it wasn't legislative action. So she can talk about it, but
Well, the first one lasted an hour.
The speech and debate clause.
That was 5 hours
in
ago.
sum, count one neither charges her for a legislative act nor requires that she answer for any legislative act. So therefore, we affirm count one stands and she can make her case at trial. Now, as to count two, it incorporates a lot of the same components of count one, saying she pushed past victim two, using her forearms to forcibly push that person out of the way. Same thing here. Pushing past and forcibly striking someone, that is unambiguously non-legislative. They're not integral to the process, and we don't have to consider the entire reason for her being there. It is about the discrete act charged. So all of her arguments fail again. Then she says the government violated the appropriation statute, saying they interfered with her legislative oversight, which then triggers immunity, and that the law says that she has the power to go and actually do oversight. Also says that oversight...
I think Friends in Code was hanging out with them.
In fact, legislative in nature.
I don't know if they were still out there together, because I know Friends in Code is helping him with his production on his lives.
That is distinct from the process of being or
But Robert,
to the secured area.
yeah, Robert just had his kid last weekend.
And therefore, it is unambiguously non-legislative. Now, there's a dissent in there, but...
Yeah, hitting someone is a crime.
Otherwise, she's not immune. Here, nothing in the record indicates that her entry into the facility...
Nothing about speech and debate clause.
A necessary precondition of her oversight. Some of these things may be intertwined.
Makes that legitimate.
But the fact is, she was
mostly peaceful protesting, though.
If she was observing victim two's conduct, to oversee what's going on. What
the code was?
Who is this officer?
Yeah.
Why
I'll bring it up.
arresting the mayor?
Look at it.
I'm now going to bring repercussions to you or call you in for some stupid committee hearing. But that's not what she did. She beat them with her forearms. And so the fact that she was there for oversight doesn't mean that she can then suddenly start attacking people. And finally, she offers a hypothetical to demonstrate why she should win. She says that without the protection of immunity for acts like this, individuals could, quote, aggressively restrain a Congress member from giving a speech on the floor. This hypothetical is concerning, but it presents a heavy fact-bound scenario. It's not before us. So we're only limited to what she's done here. And then as to count three, this one they are going to send back down, saying that ultimately her behavior and the behavior of others was impeding all of the other agents there from the performance of their duty. And instead, count three charges her for engaging in a range of conduct. Now, we don't know ultimately what the factual analysis was because it was grouped in with counts 1 and 2. But based on the description at the oral argument, it was a larger range of conduct, and because the lower court didn't do a methodical analysis of the various facts that occurred, we're going to send that back down. And then as we come to the close...
Yeah, I used to be in my streams all the time, my
argument,
YouTube streams.
And that just like Trump has presumptive immunity in the presidential case against Jack Smith and Merrick Garland and Judge Chutkan, this is different. Saying, unlike anyone else, the president is a branch of government, like literally. The president is the executive branch. And so it's very different than a hack congresswoman who's beating people is a failure. It overlooks the limitations that even the court said exist in the Trump case itself. The president has no immunity for unofficial acts. You have presumptive immunity. You have
Sandusky exit. Yeah, somebody
and then you have no immunity.
In Gibbonsburg, which is out by in Sandusky County, a cop got stabbed multiple times. There was a manhunt for the guy who did it. I think it was a sheriff's deputy.
Trying to adopt her reasoning, and so therefore you lose. For these reasons, we will affirm the lower courts.
Oh, the police identifier. Yeah, I've got to log into that. I haven't been on it in a long time though.
For further proceedings.
If I was out doing a lot of cop watching, though, I'd be uploading it.
3, they can decide what to do with that. Otherwise, LaMonica loses. And so there was a big dissent here. And ultimately, I think this dude's going to argue that we should vacate the motion to the denial of the motion to dismiss and remand for more facts. Okay, so he's not saying the case should be dismissed, but they should go back and analyze a couple new things, including whether more context around this is appropriate. What was her intent in making contact with him? To attack him to stop the arrest of the mayor. That is not legislative at all. So right now, she loses, rightfully so, and she is vowing to fight on as only LaMonica can. Says, I will not fold to this administration. She's not talking about the folds in her belly, which are there. We are exploring every possible option, and so maybe they'll appeal this thing up to the Supreme Court. We'll have LaMonica at SCOTUS. Today's decision only emboldens the Trump admin, and I'm not going to fold. We are exploring every option, and this is not over.
You're running out of there, Dare.
Monica McIver, but looks like for now, case is getting sent back down, and she will have to answer for her crimes.
The fuck was that?
Will now proceed towards trial. Ultimately, we'll keep our eye on this one. See what happens next. Maybe we do go to SCOTUS, but whatever happens, we'll be here. Thank you for joining us and subscribing. All right, friends. So it's been a beautiful stream. Thank you so much for joining us on the day. Now it's time to hear from you. If you just got here, big updates on the day. We had the Obama judge caving on the election order injunction, and the leftists are melting down over it. So we now have no blocks on Trump's order, his EO, because Indira Talwani had to reverse herself after getting slapped down by the Supreme Court. But let's not get too excited, because the leftists are already filing lawsuit after lawsuit, and the judge issued a very short briefing schedule, August 27th to August 31st. We're going to have all of this stuff now accelerated, so that you can block it, which we are.
You get a chance to get on the ESPN.
The arguments were they're just as garbage as they were last time.
I went ahead and saved your two best players as keepers too already for you.
All of the leftists going wild. New York.
You still got to log in though.
We got Norm Eisen is back. Rob Bonta from California. Bill Esseley is saying, why do you guys fight so hard to protect fraudsters and illegal aliens? No one will ever know. Mark Elias is here, now blaming Republicans for cheating. Wild. And even Chris Murphy couldn't answer a basic question from CNN's Anderson Cooper. He says, Trump doesn't want people to vote, which is partially true. We don't want illegitimate voters at all. We know they do, because that's how they win. Then we talked about a big win in the Maryland Oversight Project and Mike Howell and Jeffrey Clark sending down another victory, saying that for now, the motion for the plaintiffs is granted. The defendant's motion for summary judgment is denied. The state board is enjoined from including the ballot on statewide ballots, the ballot question. And we're
I'm not sure whether I'm probably doing it on Sunday, but
appeal of this
we'll
ruling to the Supreme Court of Maryland. So nice victory there. We read through the filing. Of course, it's just like everywhere the Democrats operate. They passed a set of rules, then did not follow those rules, then in the process created a misleading ballot question that wasn't even honest. The judge was basically calling them liars, to try to amend the Constitution, bypassing their own citizens in order to do it, giving them no due process of law, and then, of course, lecturing everybody about election integrity. We had some response here. Shout out to the Maryland Freedom Caucus, and they will march on. They've already appealed to the state Supreme Court. We'll see what they do. Then lastly, we had LaMonica Belly Rub McIver, who was throwing her weight around, as some might say, outside of an ICE facility, and then all of a sudden decided I'm allowed to do that. I'm a congresswoman. I can do whatever I want.
I could get, a potato and a salad, one of the biggest salads you can imagine.
Digging her heels in.
It's really
I'm
like
gonna fight on. We'll see if
salad bowl size salad.
The Third Circuit said no.
And
there's no actual
you can
immunity for
take
this,
a.
Monica. It is
Well, any side vegetable. I usually get their garlic red skin mash,
like you did. And so, friends,
but you can get a loaded baked potato or whatever you want.
Now it is time
to
hear from you. Let's see what you say about all of this and more, and who is joining us on the day. It is a beautiful Wednesday, all downhill from here. And I think we're going to be jamming this week. You saw the briefing schedule. Should be a lot more to come. So thank you for hitting the subscribe button and joining us as we do. Let's see, we had some nice donations today. Thank you, friends, and some new members who joined us today. What a beautiful Tuesday it is. We had a great members-only stream this morning as well. We talked about the Capitol guillotine. We also saw that Texas fired back against Tim Walz, and I think there was a decision about that. We also talked about the Tate brothers case, and they made some interesting arguments in their plea to get out of detention, saying that they rented their cars, they don't actually have passports, they're not actually trillionaires, maybe not even actually billionaires, and they're fighting for release. They have
I like my blue cheese dress.
About those matters, and it was a good stream. And there will be a lot more tomorrow morning too. Already got some ideas queued up. So now, my friends, it's time to hear from you. And we see here our big motion was denied. The injunction reversed. Victory is upon us until the leftists emerge out of the gutters to block it again. But hey, Mark Burton, man, thank you, Mark, for bringing in 5 new members. We'll see everybody tomorrow morning on our Thursday members only stream, 10 a.m. Eastern time. Raph L, what's up, Raph? Thank you, Mark, for bringing them in. Taboogs, we got Ellen Brunetto. We've got Roman S, welcome. And God sees everything. That is true, he does. Thank you for that, Mark Burton. We see all our new friends in the morning. It should be a beautiful stream. Hey, there are some who call him Tim, also bringing in 5 new members. Thank you, Tim Jake, for doing this one. We got Gary Jr., Nathank in the house, Scrappy Sketcher, GN US Powered, welcome aboard. Andrews Industries, 5 new members. Seeing everybody in the morning, and it's going to be a good one. Thank you for that, Tim Jake, and welcome new member friends. Hey, Mach Schnell, what's going on, Mach Schnell?
Yeah.
Hey, just
I like real blue. I don't like the creamy blue cheese.
Use normal words.
The point of blue cheese dressing is to have those big chunks of
I did this with my
stinky cheese.
These, and they
I love stinky cheese.
One grade ahead of their peers and inquisitive. Nice, Mach Schnell. Yeah, I don't do that baby stuff with him. I was reading him the Constitution when he was in the room, so we could already set that out. And I basically just talk to him like I talked to him. I'm like, okay, this is what we're doing. We're changing your diapers. I will sing some songs when I'm changing his diaper, you know, about like his bum and cleaning out the dew because I love you, kind of stuff like that. But that's about as far as it goes. Otherwise, I like to explain to him constitutional law and quantum theory because we think it's going to incubate those IQ points. So thank you, Marshall. We appreciate that. He's going to be, you know, a sharp little fella. We hope. So thank you, Mach Schnell. Great advice. We appreciate it. Slimmer, and thank you for the donation today. Slimmer Stubby, what's up? I'm willing to bet the Obama judge gave a heads up about her ruling before she released it, which explains the immediate influx from the leftists. They were ready to go, man. It's like you almost never see anything like it. Literally, like minutes. I don't know what the time was exactly. I'll probably find that out. But look, she drops right here, August 26th. Here's her order. Injunction lifted. Boom! Supplemental complaint filed. Emergency motion for a TRO. Memo in support of the emergency motion. We got 6 declarations all dropped. Then a joint motion for an extension of time so all of the League of Women can come in. Then she issues the order immediately, canceling the other scheduling conferences, and then boom, sets the briefing deadline in a matter of days, right? I mean, the whole thing feels like it is just patty cake between this judge and the left. It's what we're dealing with. It's lawfare extreme. So I think you're probably right about that, Slimmer Stubby. Thank you for the comment. Hey, MCM in the house. Since the judge had to drop the initial case because of the Supreme Court, don't they have to go through the post office court now for any complaints? I think we may see that argument. Now, the only reason why I think they'll say they don't is because this was already underway. So like a new argument, like there's the name of the body is called the Postal Regulatory Commission, I think it is. Yeah, and so Yeah, right here. So this is the agency. And so the idea is, if you're going to make a complaint about the Postal Service, you got to file here. Like, there's active cases. So the argument is, I'm not happy with what the Postal Service is doing. So Congress set up this body, and you have to go file your complaint here. It's like an administrative kind of proceeding. So go get here first. What's your problem? We'll see if we can resolve it here. There's all these active cases. And then if you lose here, then you can go and actually make your claim heard. It's almost like a mini court, right? You've got a docket search, you've got e-filing.
Yeah, I think I've had a couple of them.
You should be able to, file here first, and then once you lose, then go to Article 3 courts. But I think the difference with this case is that they'll say these were already underway. So it's not actually a new case. We're just amending the one that was already existing. But I wouldn't be surprised if the DOJ made the argument that you actually lose jurisdiction now that it's an active rule. We'll see if that comes out. I hope it does, because I'm just curious about how it will be resolved. But yeah, electronic e-filing, all documents filed here. What are our policies? Yeah, so I'm not sure about the mechanics. Like, I think we're going to learn a lot more about it, which is why I'm kind of excited to see how it goes down. But I think that would be an interesting argument. Oh, you can't. The rule's final. You can only sue after you've exhausted your administrative remedies. I think it's going to be good. They may make that argument. We'll have to see. If they do, I'm going to feel pretty excited about that, because it's like they squeaked through the rule just barely, and then once the rule's in effect, then they can say, oh, you have no more jurisdiction anymore. It will be a glorious victory. It'll be such a twisting of the litigation blade, so to speak. So it should be fun. But we'll see. MCM 21RN. I would argue that anything new, definitely, but we'll see what their arguments are and what the courts say about bypassing that. It's almost like, were there other cases that we've covered here? I'm trying to think of an example. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what the ultimate jurisdiction battle looks like, but we'll see. I think that their argument will be it's already been ongoing. We already got permission to amend the complaint from the judge, and that's all we're doing, so it's not actually a new case. We sued before the rule came in, and the rule came in, so we should just stay right here, and we'll see. Should be good. Anyways, MCM, thank you for the comment. We're going to find out together. I'm P. Picking Cute. Hey, concerning the supremacy clause versus plenary power, when does supremacy come into play? When there's a conflict between the feds and the states. Whole time we had Roe versus Wade, all states had to abort. When it was repealed, then plenary laws began. So now that SCOTUS has ruled on males and women's sports, how do blue states get away with ignoring it, continuing to destroy
usually
females?
that steak is so big
What
that I don't
missing
have room
here?
for
Is the
dessert,
SCOTUS'
but they
final
do have some
verdict
nice
on the law?
desserts there.
Same with sanctuaries. Feds already have jurisdiction on illegals.
It's a
ergo
steakhouse, but
sanctuary
it's
cities
owned
already
by an
illegal
Italian
by
family, so they have
so many questions, so many
good.
issues.
They got tiramisu and stuff.
Let's just pick one. I think with Roe versus Wade, what you were seeing is that they said that Roe versus Wade was embedded in the Constitution. Like, Roe versus Wade was embedded in the Constitution. And then you had Casey versus Planned Parenthood that came out after that. So it wasn't like, from their perspective, there was this penumbra of rights. They looked back to the Constitution. They said, oh, well, you have a right against,
it's like
soldiers in your home. You have a right against unreasonable searches and seizures.
Delmonico, which is a ribeye.
Mirror privacy. So you have this penumbra of rights, and so now we can say that abortion is kind of enveloped in one of those rights. So they said that essentially it fit into the supreme law of the land. It was, in fact, in the Constitution. They just kind of, shoved it in there. So that's how they reasoned through that. Then when it was repealed and it, was sent back down to the states, they were saying that it's not in the Constitution, right? So they were finding that shoved something in there.
I never even look at the desserts really.
So now this is a states' rights
always
issue
too
because
full.
The Constitution is actually silent as to that issue, and so, as we know under the 10th Amendment, anything that is not articulated at the federal level is reserved to the states. So that's, I think, how that would be answered. Now, it's kind of the same pattern across the board. When it comes to men and women's sports, I I think the cases that you're referencing are different. There's a distinction, and I'd have to refresh my recollection on it. But there's a distinction about whether a state can pass a law and whether it's
they got a big banquet room on the second floor too.
Get on the team. So that is a state issue, and the states have the authority to actually do that. Is what we I think read in the Supreme Court cases. But a lot of different issues, a lot of different questions on that. IP pick and Q. Law is very complicated, which is why we take them one at a time. So thanks for the question. Miss Kayla, hey, in 2020, they told us elections can't be stolen. Right, because they were the ones stealing it. I think their point was, you can't steal elections from us because we already control them. We've already stolen them, so they can't be stolen from us. I think is the main argument. But if elections actually have checks and balances on them, then they can't steal them. And so they can't be stolen is bad news for them. So that's what's happening, Miss Kayla. Thank you for the donation. Danny Murphy, I need more letters.
Double check it now.
Why does it default to $1.99 on YouTube? I don't know. It's a good question. I don't set the prices, but I think that YouTube probably, $1.99. It's kind of like, impulse buy. It's like, sure, I'll give this guy a couple of bucks. Thank you, Danny Murphy. Not sure exactly how many more letters you need, but there are limits on YouTube. But it's all set by YouTube. It's out of my hands. Thank you for the donation. Hey, Richard Tatership in the house. What's going on, Richard? Thank you for bringing in 5 new members.
That guy's funny.
In the morning.
His username's funny. Richard Tatership.
Lucy Fear, not Lucifer, obviously. CLV, what's up? 6267. Pitbull Schnuts is here. We got Nifty Chrono and Crash and Burn in the house. Crash and Burn, just like Hack Override. What was the one from the movie Hackers? Crash and Burn.
They have a regular ribeye too that's a 16-ouncer. But it's almost the same price, so it's worth getting the bone-in Delmonico.
Great to see you. It says
22 ounces, yeah.
That they must go to postal
it's only $3 more.
Prior to going to court.
For over a half a pound more.
That's what I thought. I thought we actually
bone-in Delmonico, our most flavorful steak we serve, sizzling and cooked to perfection.
So we'll see. The new one. California today just sued with the other 25 states, the USPS, based on the final rule. So the DOJ's response on that one, I would think crash override. That's what it was. Thanks for the assistance on that, Quell. And Chris Pearson. I'm ashamed of myself. I knew that. Crash override. And what was the other name? It was... I forget what it was. We were just like, Crash and Burn. It was Crash Override. What was the other name? All right. So, yeah. So I think we'll see that argument come back out to play. I hope we do. I hope they say, oh, no, it's too late. The rule's final. You can't sue here. So case dismissed. Go to the Postal Service Review Board and exhaust your administrative rules there, your litigation there, and then come back and we'll see you in court if you lose there. So if that happens, then they have to go over there and kind of exhaust themselves. Meanwhile, the rule goes into total fruition. Acid Burn. Man, I was way off. Forget everything I just said. That's right. Crash Override and Acid Burn. That's right. From the movie Hackers with Angelina Jolie.
Yeah.
That other guy.
When I was saying goodbye to the wife, she's like, I know who's having steak tonight.
I think we're going to see a lot of that. The jurisdictional argument.
Like, you got me.
For it because it will be fun. The Average Mountain Man. What's going on? Thank you for bringing in 10 new friends. We'll see everybody in the morning. The Average Mountain Man bringing in Cherub Cow. We got Demon's Wrath. We got Splash in Traffic. What's going on? Gadrian Am. We got W. Wallace family. Welcome, fam. We got Tish Peel. What's going on to Shinobi? Alien Watcher. Home is Jax. And Shirley Majors in the house. All gifted memberships courtesy of the Average Mountain Man, who's way above average in our hearts. Thank you, the Average Mountain Man. We got Sun Kiss Girl. What's going on? Hey, you got a new baby over there. 8 months as a member.
That actually sounds pretty good too.
Says got an 8-pound, 3-ounce, 19-inch great nephew born today. Amazing.
Yeah. She knew. She's like, well, I'm going to be ordering DoorDash tonight if you're getting steak. I'm like, do what you want, babe.
Another grandbaby in the house or great nephew in the house. Amazing.
I'll be using your car,
and
too.
Hope Mama's doing well. Hope
All
everybody
right,
in the family are enjoying this new little bundle of joy. And that's a nice sized kid. Yeah, our kid was 8 pounds 1 ounces and 20 inches, if I remember right. So right around that same size. Congratulations to you guys. It's amazing. Hey, Cecil Says. What's going on, Cecil? Thanks for rating our stream. Shout out to our Cecil Says friends. Hopefully you stick around and enjoyed the show. And hopefully we see you again. Thanks for watching on Rumble. Economath, hey, catching up. The legal language standard needs to change.
It would have to have something
one vote is bad.
that would last
One
the trip.
voter,
It's a 2-hour trip.
Is better. All
tonight, I'm getting here kind of late tonight, so I'm thinking that I might even get a hotel tonight. We'll see.
Right. One citizen, one vote. One voter, one vote. A voter is a qualified person. What is the qualification? Citizenship. And one person is.
I'll put it on my work credit card.
We don't want a bunch of people who are not citizens, but who are persons voting in the election. So I think that's right. And they do get very tricky with language, right? They pervert your logical reasoning. They brainwash half the country. Well, everyone should have a say. No. Citizens should have a say, not everyone. And we got a lot of people who are not citizens who are actually not even American. Why should they participate in our government?
We'll see how tired I am by the time I get done. Hopefully it doesn't take too long to do what I got to do.
People, not the whole world. Jeffrey Adams, 3 Secret Service employees were escorted out of the office.
Oh, okay.
We talked about that this morning. Not really sure why. Not a lot of details on that, but some people were presuming it had to do with
I think I have your email. When I get the order,
so we saw that this morning on
the email with the tracking number.
So we hit that in
I'll send it to you.
Segment.
I don't know if you can open it, though.
Stubby. Congresswoman LaMonica is the enemy of a DEI hire. Thinking she has power and protection, she doesn't, because she absolutely has no clue what her position actually entails. I'll bet she hasn't done a single thing required by her position because she has no clue what her job even is. I think that's probably a pretty common feature in Congress as well. You just have people who are there because of certain traits that
I got to do 2 sites. I got to set up a desktop at one and then go into the hood for another.
I think that there are a lot
of
dumb people in Congress. They're there because they do and say the right things and they agitate their base.
I mean, Maple Heights is already not great, but then I got to go to the old housing, which is East Cleveland.
And that's all that really matters to them. And it's not just Congress; it's also in many other entities.
That'll be exciting.
Hey, Michelle Parsons. Hey, let's keep the people of Nepal in our prayers. They were hit with a massive landslide and flooding.
Let me see if that's what I have.
100 dead or unaccounted for.
Context.
I watched one of those videos this morning, and I literally said, "Ah!" out loud. I was watching them like, "Oh, all these people are
that's what I got.
Away." There's been a couple of them. One of them was like really bad. Blew out this whole building.
Which phone number is your main number that you're using?
Gone. All these people running.
I mean, they're both the same phone, though, right? You got 2 numbers on one phone?
Shocking, like out of a movie. And so I said that, and I thought, man, prayers out for them and their families this morning. Just brutal. So,
I mean, I have my burnout with me,
for that
although I need to
get some. See that happen. So thank you for sending that and saying that. It was brutal. So, be cautious if you're watching those videos, because I thought, wow, that is like, it's a lovely day out here, and all of a sudden you're gone. G-Man, if the League of Women Voters cannot figure it out, then maybe we should repeal the 19. Whoa, G-Man, with a little extra spice today. Maybe just for them, our women aren't as dumb as them. Geniuses, very intelligent, and we appreciate them. But apparently for them, I don't know what the problem is. Maybe it's the women in the league. Maybe they just rounded up the dumbest people they could find and put them in a group
644.
But it's very confusing, and it's very difficult for them to have to rewrite.
So that's your main one?
Update their website. They just can't figure it out. So
okay.
Maybe it's a little too complicated for them. Maybe voting's too hard. They should just figure something else out, like whining about patriarchy or supporting Lindsay Clancy. I'd rather be skiing. I'm pretty sure that throwing your giant sumo belly around and elbows at federal officers is not speech and debate clause protected, let alone free speech. Not speech, let alone free. I wonder, could she be the one wearing the mask in the ring? El Belly de Destructo. The Mask in the Ring. Was that horror movie, The Ring, with the TV screen that had the ring on it? I don't know. The Big Giant Belly or The Mask with Jim Carrey? Was there a little tubby person in that one? I don't know. But, yeah, I mean, I was kind of thinking like the Star Wars character, like Jabba the Hutt kind of a thing, you know, who had a little bit more mobility. She could move, even though she had that extra, you know, belt around her waist. I'd rather be skiing. Thank you for the nice dono and for the extra chunky jokes today. Hey, Economath, should we give her the wrestler name of Gutter Ball McIver? Yes, we should. Actually, yes. The answer is yes, we should. Or El Belly de Destructo. Both of those are great. Maybe we should take a poll. Nacho Libre. So many good options. We can't decide. We can't even take it. So thank you, Economath. They're great. We got, hey, Zone Girl said, Sean Parnell talks about Abbey Gate and the foil withdrawal from Afghanistan. Worth a listen. Yeah, I think there was a ceremony today, right, for some of the families and others who lost due to Biden's botched withdrawal of Afghanistan.
Right. I'm
They said was.
I'm gonna play the auto thing real quick. Man, this exit is rough. I'm gonna play the short one, the latest one first. The short one. It's only 9 minutes. I wonder if this is the one where he gets arrested. It's from 4 hours ago. Where's this after he got up?
Happy fun! Stupid ass motherfuckers! Gang!
What happened? Just cut out.
Someone else today happens to be. You guys happen to be here. Get it on. If you have an extra patch, don't be you're looking where you came from on their bag inside. Yeah, no problem. Hey, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it, sir. Fuck the police!
So he's got a line discussion with them, but basically, he said any advocacy on any side that doesn't sound was counted as so, and he brought up the whole message about how this is a great nothing. But then I asked him about all the commercial buildings and he will have to answer. I apologize. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. Thank you. Hey, if you guys go inside the little thing where you're from, it's very cool. Even though they're kind of mad at you right now. Thank you for your service. I appreciate you letting me do this. You good for spending so, y'all saw they arrested Harvey for a shirt. Did they? They arrested. Oh, shit. So, we're working that. So, apparently, you can't walk around with a shirt that says fuck the government. They didn't have a problem with this shirt. Yeah. But you know what they did say? It might be different if the words were the same.
I guess it just isn't working that way.
Wow. They arrested Harvey too, wearing a shirt that said "fuck the government."
Well, hey, keep the string going, man. I gotta. Yeah, I've been from there for a year.
Yeah, I've been to San Antonio. I know right where he's at. There is a little plaza right around the corner from it.
That's the stand past you.
He said that guy put it towards me. So,
Love that.
all right. Thank you, buddy. I hope you have a good day.
Drive safe, dude.
Good seeing you, man. Yeah, it was nice meeting you, and hopefully this won't be the last time. Yeah. Yay! So unfortunately,
Man, he's sweating through his shirt.
Today, and that was absolutely. We were doing the best we could to not have anything like that happen. But they did take Harvey to jail for wearing a "fuck the government" shirt, which I believe is available on Sean.AutoWatchdog.com. We just released some knives, and there's only 9 of them.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Unless somebody bought some last night. But anyway, we are here today at the Alamo. Yeah. Okay. So the queer instruction to me was you can't have any sign or words that quote advocate. But you know it's okay to show advocation. Is that the right word? You're allowed to advocate with firearms that violate the rules, but you're not allowed to advocate with signs. So it sounds like you're okay in this expression, but not this expression. Maybe because it's smaller. Maybe it makes sense.
Oh, HBO Matt was out there too?
Yeah, exactly. So how are you guys doing today? Having the best day. They didn't find this more offensive than this. Right. Maybe it makes sense. Anyway, y'all have a good one. Thank you, sir. Have a great one. I'll talk to you soon. Y'all have a good day. Hey guys, I'm about to wrap this up and go that way. I'll meet you back at the hub in a minute. Okay, so Harvey Freeberg got arrested. That video is going to be static on his device. We had approximately a dozen people here today. Some people cameras, who just camera people, and some people actually doing some like activism stuff.
I saw him carrying his AR.
I mean, it's been
Looks like somebody was with him, but I didn't recognize the other guy. I know HBO Matt.
Life people that were here, and took 4 of them to jail, and I'm not okay with that. And they were being respectful and quiet, so there's people running behind you. Hope you guys have a good day. This guy smells like weed.
You gotta kick out that one.
Yeah. Fuck police! I'm sorry. Hope you guys have a good day. Anyway.
Look at that little Miata.
We came here to the
Things are tiny.
to show our support for the other guys who got arrested. And then we ended up almost getting arrested. I was trying to go to the free speech circle, and he wouldn't let me get there. I think he knew what I was up to. I think he knew that I was trying to get to the free speech circle, and he lost his shit. So constantly conflicting, and this is why we can't let local law enforcement make decisions, because every person you ask is going to have a slightly different opinion depending on how much of a tyrant they are. And clearly we have multiple different flavors of tyrant here today. So we're going to have to challenge all of this in court, and the other guys, the pro-life guys, are also going to have to challenge this. So this isn't over. I have now been trespassed for 1 year from the Alamo, and that's a damn shame, because I am a true red, white, blue Texan, and I actually love the Alamo. This is probably the 6th or 7th time I've been here.
My first time, legit.
Well, I hope that was okay.
It was actually, I actually had a really good morning.
Trespass, so you can actually go back and explore the chapel.
I can't leave you, though.
Well, we're about to wrap this up, and we'll set you up with another live. But just, I mean, they had problems with the cameras, they had problems with the shirts, they had problems with signs. They didn't have a problem with this one. They also didn't have a problem with this one at first. Or this one. Until more people started showing up, and then they were like, oh no, you can't have any of them.
Yeah.
Then they told me I had to leave. So the rules are very convoluted, and we're going to have to find out. We're going to have a judge tell us what's okay and what's not okay to say in the freest nation on this entire planet. So I love you guys so very much. I hope that everybody else in the crew, is everybody else in the crew? Okay, so I'm going to call,
Okay, apparently he didn't get arrested on this one.
Okay, we're going to call for,
And cut. Okay. Well, they didn't seem to get arrested there. Maybe he was static recording when it happened. Try this one. I think he just got trespassed. He might have gotten detained and then trespassed.
it's already hot.
Yeah, he never got arrested in the 9-minute video. Jumping around waiting until I can find it.
not putting photos on Facebook?
State park on my. Okay, so are you here? So you're here as state. So state. Colorblind. Yeah. Clarification. Signs on any website or QR codes or anything. Well, yeah, Okay, so right now we got one, two, three, 4, 5, 6. Looks like it was 6 CPS troopers who are all just kind of staying away. They're definitely talking about us though. And we heard over the radio about, hey, there's a guy out here with the sign. So already they're circling and game planning on what's next. That the messaging on the sign absolutely matters. The blank, or it's not blank, you put on it what you want, but the green sign was completely fine because he couldn't read anything on it. So
They made that very clear.
So the content in the message of the sign matters. And ladies and gentlemen, that is what is important for a First Amendment violation. So if there was any doubt before about whether the message mattered or if just holding a sign wasn't allowed, the message absolutely matters. Robert Lee made that extremely clear. Of course, he sent his message to the dozen, that's exaggerating, to the 6 other officers that are patrolling the area. So it'll be interesting.
Pretty cool. Okay, oh, there he is. Yeah, according to the rule. Hey, flip this back around to the front. Or to the back. There we go. Now we got the shot now.
You think you can pick and choose the ones that you use? Are you going to do any walking or is there a distance issue? There's no distance issue. Walking? It says everything is awesome. You don't have to walk up. I'm not walking. Yeah, you are. Can I take this off while I still be? You want to sure underneath it? Yeah. Okay. Anytime. Does my shirt violate the rules? I follow the rules. So I'll take the shirt off and we'll look at it.
Isn't that viewpoint discrimination?
Are you sure that shirt's not offensive?
You think you want me to go get Harvey with the camera? Okay. All right. Sorry, man.
Amazing, sir. Hope you have a good day. Best guys ever. They would never come in a
Hey guys, you allowed to have rifles here in the world? Texas. No. Fair point.
Be careful, there's a bunch of gang members right
You gotta be hot wearing all that stuff. Oh yeah, it's hot out here for all that for sure.
I apologize that you're the police are amazing. What would we do?
Enjoy some shade. It's hot out here, man. There we go.
These guys, these buses right in the middle of the intersection there. Hopefully we'll be able to get through.
Yep. Heads up.
Hey, stop, hang on. Listen, I don't want you though. I'm going to tell you the rules. Should I go look out too? Should I leave them? Is one of them leaving? I understand. You do that. You have the signs.
So Robert Lee said this sign was okay.
Yeah.
It advocates, even though it advocates back and blue, which I'm a cop, doesn't matter. You cannot advocate on Alamo grounds holding a sign. I'm just laying it out. Those are the rules, okay?
So the rule he said, yeah, I'll let you explain.
Let me finish explaining.
So Bradley, what's your?
I'm not having a conversation.
Well,
Not.
what are you?
So
What are you
I'm
doing
telling
here?
you the rules. And if you choose to violate them,
Can I leave? There's a lot of things coming. Can I go home now?
listen, you've been flashing a sign with the middle finger on it every time we turn around, and I'm not done instructing you. Okay? I'm not done. Stop pretending. If you don't want to listen to the rules, you can
Slice past me?
Yes.
Bro, that sounds nasty. I don't like that.
Okay.
I don't like that word.
Okay.
So let me ask. It said he works for DPS.
Yes, he does work for DPS,
right?
Yes.
So if he works for this, is that the rule? Okay, as long as I don't advertise. This is not.
I'm allowed to express myself. This fucking country. So what signs are and are not allowed? You can't advocate. You cannot advocate. You cannot
Look, get a circle, a picture of all the circles.
each one of them.
Listen to him.
Is this okay? Is this okay? Stop. Is this sign okay? I just said, I'm not going to put the green screen thing either. At the end of the day, you can do whatever you want on that.
And sometimes is it okay? Look it up. No, this one?
You're carrying a handful of signs with a middle finger on it.
Look,
Zero accuracy, whether it's
zero accuracy. Okay, so zero accuracy. So if I put like this, for example, it's a direct quote from Supreme Court case
when
law.
you're carrying billboards, advocating go blue.
So, but what if it's?
I'm not here to discuss your shit. I'm here to discuss. I'm gonna have to get with ATI about the rules.
So they gave me 5 minutes. I'm so glad.
Thank you guys so much for my 5 minutes of freedom. All right, so out of all the law enforcement here, is anyone willing to tell me what the actual rules are? Because Mr. Lee, you know you told me something exactly.
Fuck the DPS! You smell like shit!
So no one can tell me who decides. No one. Who decides what's happening? It's based on. Hey. Come on here, line us up. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, go ahead. This isn't a game. It is a game. That is right there. There's the exit right there. Go down it. Oh, this one? I'm parked over there. No, leave that way right now. Leave. You are trespassing from there. Close to the next now. No, I'll go. Let's go this way. No, listen. But isn't that now? You are not leaving. Okay, it's getting scary. Hey, can I exit out that way right now? No, you need to leave right there. I'm supposed to exit. Please. I'm escorting you off the property. If you do not leave right now, that way, it's just right there, dude. You will arrest me. I will arrest you. Do not be mistaken. I am not the one. Go. Are you go. Are you from the military? Go. You got some military history? Dude, it's the same distance to go that way.
Then go this way, you go the same distance.
Well, I need to go that way though.
Go around.
Because that's where the free speech
You
is.
can go around.
Go.
You can go around.
I'm going, fucker. That's where the free speech zone is over that way.
Okay, go around.
Like you told me earlier. I can go around? No. Okay, you can go right here.
Thanks, brother. You too. I'll catch you later. Thanks for hanging out.